Oh, I did not forget about one of our favorite shows to recap, Married to Medicine's latest episode. So let's get into this latest episode and some of the refreshing things that I got from it. Welcome back to the Kempire Daily YouTube channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. So we haven't been able to have a live recap of Married to Medicine. However, I'm still watching, still enjoying the show. And unlike the last couple of episodes, this episode is not really about the drama that's going on between Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Contessa. Before we get into that, let's talk about Dr. Heavenly. As you know, she's going through her personal story where her mother is dying. And during last week's recap that Dr. Heavenly did on her YouTube channel, that they've been talking a lot about this season, she revealed that she and Dr. Damon Daddy got into a fight before they went to Dr. Simone's home about the care of her mom. So part of what we saw last week was that. And we have to always, this is just a great reminder that a lot of you that get so emphatic about these reality shows, please remember you're fighting over an edited scene, a narrative that has been created by producers and editors that want you to feel a certain way about certain people. Keep that in mind when you're team this or team whoever or team daddy. So Dr. Heavenly talked about that on her YouTube channel last week. I have not had an opportunity to watch her recap of this week's episode. I'm sure that will give us more clarity on what we were watching. But the thing that stood out to me, and I tweeted this yesterday, I love this episode because there really wasn't a lot of drama. It really was true to form about why people love this show. And they love this show because we're seeing doctors and their real lives, but we're also seeing Black doctors giving us information that we probably wouldn't get anywhere else besides our own doctor. And we'll get into that. So at the top of this episode, we have Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Damon Daddy at his second office. We have to remember the history. Dr. Damon, was an ER physician who left that because of the grueling experience of being in the ER. I love the conversation that Eugene and Dr. Damon Daddy have this episode about the transition for Eugene. And here's the difference. I'm not just, because we jump all over the place regardless. Dr. Damon says the ER is stressful. It's not something you can do for the rest of your life, even though Dr. Eugene literally says his plan A is traumatizing to him now. We have to remember, Dr. Eugene went through, first of all, working in ER in itself is a lot. But he went through a pandemic that we have not seen in our lifetime. And the amount of people in healthcare that left healthcare because of the pandemic is astounding. So to me, I know some of you probably may feel, oh, this is just a storyline, blah, 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 whatever. It doesn't feel like a storyline to me. It feels like this is reality. He thought that he probably would do the ER for a lot longer than what he is doing now. But Eugene also went through a pandemic. He saw a lot of death. He literally broke down during last year's reunion talking about the things that he saw and how traumatic that was. It makes complete sense for him, of all the doctors, but like, I need to do something else. So he's, going to a mentor. Dr. Damon has been a mentor for Dr. Eugene for a very long time. That's how they met each other, was in the emergency room. And Dr. Damon says Eugene used to come in there, it's like so bubbly. He's like, man, calm down. But he still has that bubbly personality. And I do look forward to seeing where Dr. Eugene goes after ER medicine. But we'll get back to that. Speaking of Dr. Heavenly and Dr. Damon Daddy, they talk about what happened at Dr. Simone's and the miscommunication. And of course, Heavenly's only going to ever apologize to Dr. Damon and really mean it. She'll apologize to other people. She'll probably mean it in the moment, but do it again. Let's be real. So they talk about that. They also talk about her mom and how her mom has been in a lot of pain. I can't even imagine dying and being in that amount of pain and just like suffering. So when we have these conversations about, getting older and what, I hope when I get older that I just pass away in my sleep. or at least be able to live a full and complete life without being sick in the most of it. You know what I mean? So that's what I was thinking of when watching that scene. So she's dealing with what's going on with her mom, and she also was apologizing for what went down at Dr. Simone's house. All right, sidebar, did we get Dr. Simone besides that quick little scene at the beginning? We didn't get Dr. Simone, and we didn't get Quad. Another episode without Quad, and I didn't miss her. We saw a little brief moment with Quad, and of course the cutie patootie Mason, and I believe that was Mason's mom that we got to see in that scene. No word on what we're going to get. I know Quad is having a party next week's episode, so I didn't miss Quad, to be honest. Anyways, so back to this. So Dr. Scott and Dr. Contessa are having a conversation about what's been going on with Heavenly. And this is where Contessa sort of pulls back. And because Quad called her out last week, she's going through the loss of her mom. So Contessa is like, I know things are going on, but that, she's like a sister to me. We've cried together. I feel for her right now. I've lost my parent, so I can relate to what she's going through. She's backtracking right now, but look, we've been saying this. Dr. Contessa has been using this fight with Heavenly as her storyline. She has leaned away from throwing Dr. Scott under the bus on this show to throwing Dr. Heavenly under the bus. Her real storyline is not here. What she's playing out the season, this fitness competition, this beef with Heavenly, even the beef with Heavenly. Last week, Heavenly on her YouTube channel says what went down versus what was seen on the show there was a lot left out because she didn't like how Contessa was talking to Dr. Damon, who was trying to make peace. We all can agree. Dr. Damon was not coming after Contessa. He was just like, this is BS. You guys are real friends, blah, blah. But Contessa wants to lean into this being her storyline. So she wants to start up the drama. She was backpedaling during the O-Shot scene about how she was coming at Dr. Damon. It's not really his fault. Yeah, but you were in your confessional being a confessional gangster talking about him. We make the same amount of money. And I hope they ask her about that during the reunion because I need her to clarify. Maybe there was something that we didn't see in this scene that would make sense of why she was comparing salaries with Dr. Damon, who's been doing medicine a lot longer than she has. Doesn't mean anything, but it was just interesting that she even brought it up. Honestly, the scenes with Dr. Scott and Dr. Contessa was nothing for me this week. Nothing for me this week because we already know she's going to start back drama up with Heavenly again, regardless if she's feeling for Heavenly right now. Moving on from that, Audra. Come on. Audra has the potential to be so interesting. A lawyer. Her husband. We got to see such personality from her husband this week that I was like, what? Wait a minute. Between the two of them, first of all, I get why they are attracted to each other. And I'm not just talking about physically. I'm talking about just their humor. For me, if you make me laugh, you have my heart. Because they seem like they genuinely love each other, but also have fun with each other. So they already got married. However, they're planning their big wedding. Because, during COVID, a lot of people just got married by the Justice of the Peace. And now they're like, okay, now I'm going to have my big wedding. So she's planning her big wedding. Just those little quirky moments. She's like, I lost 3 pounds. She says, oh, thigh gap is coming soon. Audra, I love you. Smart, funny, interesting, great reality TV. I enjoyed seeing that. So she's planning her wedding. They're over budget. I think they're like $120,000 they're paying for this wedding. And all the balance left is $40,000. And I say all because, they paid their $80,000. I think they're doing quite well for themselves. Yes, they're beginning in their careers. But they're not hurting either. I like seeing this couple together. I think Audra's a good addition. Maybe to replace some people on the show. Quad, maybe. I don't. After I've been doing a rewatch of the early seasons of Married to Medicine, I'm like, Quad thought this was going to be something else. She thought she was going to be the Nene of this particular franchise. Not quite. Just saying. Okay, so we got that scene with Audra and her husband. Like I said, I think they have such potential, both of them, because I can see her husband mixing well with these group of husbands and being funny and interesting, very much like Dr. Kieran. But I feel like Audra's husband is a lot more interesting, and not even more interesting, a lot more. What's the word? I think he would get along well with these group of men more than Kieran, because Kieran, I think you either love him or hate him, or love to hate him. You know what I mean? But I just see Audra's husband mixing better with the men, and it has nothing to do with black or no. It really it's. I just feel like his personality is not as. The sense of humor is different. The sense of humor is different, and I feel like the guys are really warming up to him a lot quicker than they did probably Kieran. Still love Kieran. Speaking of Kieran, Anila. Anila's parents are in town to help her raise her kids. Look, it's not lost on me the little funny moment with Anila and her mom in the car. And she's like, I need a babysitter that knows how to drive. Anila is a walking contradiction. And I'm backtracking on how I feel about Anila. Yes, I feel like Dr. Kieran and her mom are probably a lot more interesting and make her a little bit more interesting. But I get why her relationship with Dr. Kieran works. I get why they find each other attractive personality-wise, not just physically. They have similar sense of humor. And I do see little bits of Anila that I'm like, oh, I kind of like you. I don't love her, but I kind of like her. So she's with her mom because they're going to look at another because Anila, she's smart. You know, say what you want about her. She's smart. She's like, I'm going to get my blogging game up and I'm going to open a store. She's opening a hair beauty place. And she talks about the struggles that she had about losing hair after pregnancy, and they show the pictures and things like that. So she's launching this beauty place. I can't wait to see it. Honestly, I think it's going to be amazing. Her mom, big personality. She's like, why do you need that? You need to put a kitchen in here. I like her mom. Some people are not going to like her mom. I get it. It's very Mama Joyce, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it. The only thing with Anila that I don't love, a lot of her scenes feel pre-produced. A lot of them feel very pre-produced. And that can be a little bit of a turnoff. I need it to feel a little bit more natural, Anila. But I get it. The reason why they even brought her mom, I think, is because viewers wanted to see more of her mom and more of Kieran. And I feel like we're getting more of them this season versus her first season. So we get her mom being her mom at this place. I really want to see what this place looks like. I think it's going to do very well for her, to be honest with you. She's moving smart. And she really doesn't have to work. You know, Dr. Kieran makes quite a lot of money. She doesn't have to work, but she's like, you know what? I'm going to hustle. Good for you, Anila. I will never downplay what you are doing on this show while you have this opportunity. Smart. Some people, I'm not going to even say it because I'm going to, she had a rough episode this week. All right, so the guys. Oh, wait, before we get to the guys. So Dr. Jackie, and this is why Dr. Jackie is so important on this show. I know a lot of you are still mad at her about the Buffy situation. I get it. However, Dr. Jackie, although some of you may think she's boring, whatever it may be, I feel like I learned so much, even things that I don't need to know, especially about a woman's vagina. But I've heard her talk about this before, how the female vagina, well, a woman's vagina is self-cleaning and things like that. So she has these podcasters that she did a podcast episode with come in, and she's doing. That lady had not seen a gynecologist in 8 years. Even I know that you should be going to. First of all, you should be going to your doctor regularly anyway for a physical, whatever it may be. But a woman needs to go to a gyno at least once a year. And so Dr. Jackie's teaching us so much in this scene. She's being a doctor. This is why we are married to medicine. This is why this show is so great. It's because we get these particular moments. And Dr. Jackie is such a wealth of knowledge. The old shot conversation last week, this week we're having this moment. I'm so glad that they're implementing these moments within this episode. Okay? Speaking of implementing moments within these episodes, the guys have a night out together. Dr. Kieran host this night out for the guys. He's like, dress up. I'm going to give you guys, massages. I'm going to give you, drinks, food. And I love that every single week we're getting the same caterer. And I want to make sure that we highlight Colette's caterers in Atlanta. She's catered multiple events the last couple of weeks. Shout out to her. Shout out to her. I think that's amazing. So if you guys are in Atlanta, apparently she's doing a good job. The food does look good. Colette's Caterers in Atlanta. Not a sponsored. Just highlighting a black woman. Just saying. But I love the fact that we see her in like every episode. I don't know how that worked out, but apparently the food must be good if they keep using her. Just saying. Moving on from that, the guys are hanging out. They're just having a good time, having conversation, doing what the guys do. But the injectables, as you know, Dr. Karen, plastic surgeon, the guys are like, I'm not doing that. I'm not trying that. It was a wasted moment on that. I think Dr. Karen really should host like the girls so that they can try some of those things. And I'm sure maybe next season they will. But the guys were like, we're not doing that. The guys just want to play pranks on the newbie, the dentist, Audra's husband. They want to play on him. So I thought that was cute. But they also talk shop. They talk about Dr. Eugene and Dr. Damon briefly talk about the transition from emergency medicine to leaving the ER. And we get another scene later, so we'll talk more about that. But before we even get into that, we had Anila and her mom at home, and she was frustrated with her mom. I'm not surprised by this, but Anila, again, I feel like all of your scenes are so pre-produced. Her getting frustrated with her mom, I feel like it's as if Anila said they're going to be filming. I'm going to mess up this kitchen. That's what I get from Anila. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if her mom really is messy like that. It just doesn't feel authentic. And even if her mom is messy like that, she told her mom, come be yourself. Just like. So, okay. Toya and Eugene. I know a couple of weeks ago I said I feel as if their marriage problems felt like it was going to be pre-produced. But I believe it. I believe that Eugene is struggling with being in the ER. And I believe that Anila, although she likes to give out to the world that everything's perfect, that she's in control, we really got to see a different layer of Toya this week. Sorry. Toya meets with her spiritual advisor. And I thought she was going to go to counseling. But look, to each their own. Therapy is therapy. No matter how you want to. Some people need a clinical therapist, but some people need a spiritual therapist. I'm here for it. Some people need both. And some of you might say Toya needs both. But I like the fact that we got to see Toya take down a little bit of that guard. There is a level of guard that Toya, puts up. So Toya talked with her spiritual advisor about how her sons say to her, you don't seem happy. And I can't imagine what that must feel like for a mom to hear your kids say that. And her breaking down in this episode, I was like, Anila, yes, break down that wall. Break down that wall. I keep calling her Toya Anila, don't I? It's okay. Y'all know what, you know who I'm talking about. But they're very similar too. And when I say similar, they're in similar situations. Both married to medicine, both stay-at-home moms. And they were friends at one point. Don't know what happened there. No, we do know what happened there. Toya expected loyalty in regards to it. And I'm glad that Anila didn't fall for that. Anila was just like, I'm going to make friends with everybody here. And it was smart that she did, because then she wasn't alienated from the group. And then she probably would have lost her position on the show because of Toya. But Toya having this conversation with her spiritual advisor, talking about her relationship with Eugene and the challenges of that. And to me, it's not a surprise because, like I said, the pandemic and what Dr. Eugene was dealing with, if it didn't affect their marriage, I would have been shocked, honestly. I can only imagine all the healthcare workers going home and limiting space to probably quarantining and all of those elements that we didn't even think about that healthcare workers had to deal with outside of the, hospital. There was that other layer, and it seemed as if Anila was unhappy in a variety of ways and for different reasons. And I'm glad that she's exploring that. Because like I said to you before, leading up to it, I was like, is this just for a storyline? And I think we have to get away from always thinking that everything is a storyline. Of course, there's going to be a storyline because producers have to produce a show. They have to figure out what is your story this season. There has to be some sort of story. But her real story is that she's having struggles with Dr. Eugene. And I don't think that Dr. Eugene is the core reason for the way that she's feeling, but they have to reconnect because he's trying to figure out what his next chapter is, and she's trying to figure out what her next chapter is and how she can help him and how they can help each other. I think they need to figure out their stuff on their own and then come together to figure out their relationship together. Not that I'm a counselor, but I think individual counseling is important, but also couples counseling would be important for both of them. So hopefully maybe we'll see that play out this season. Back to Dr. Eugene. So Dr. Eugene's conversation with Dr. Damon, I thought was so important. I'm glad that they had it because Dr. Eugene's like, what is my next chapter? And Dr. Damon is a perfect example of that because Dr. Damon was in his position and left and now has two practices. And you really end up making a lot of money outside of the emergency room. Although I know when you're when you're an ER director, you make good money, but you also make a lot of really good money afterwards. So they're talking about that. And I have to say, I really appreciated these scenes. I know producers and, network executives think that we need drama every single week. No, when we watch a show like Married to Medicine, it's because we do want to see these moments of Dr. Eugene and Dr. Damon talking shop, talking about what is the next chapter, encouraging people to get into this world of medicine, specifically Black people into this world of medicine. We need more doctors. We need more people getting into this field, especially because after the pandemic, as I said, a lot of people left healthcare, understandably, because of what they saw during this whole, pandemic, COVID-19, and now monkeypox. Lord. Guys, I want to know your reaction to this episode. I didn't have a lot to say about this episode, but I did enjoy it. It did kind of go very quickly for me. I liked seeing the guys hang out together. I did like seeing Toya pull back a layer and show some, vulnerability. I really enjoyed Dr. Eugene and Dr. Damon's bonding moments. We didn't get a lot of Dr. Heavenly this week, and we definitely didn't get a lot of Dr. Simone, and we barely got anything of Quad. Did you miss Quad? Who did you miss? Who do you want to see come back next season? And I believe everyone is important for this show, and I really did enjoy Quad coming back last season. But if Quad didn't come back, I wouldn't miss her. Because really, what are you doing on this show? You're not Married to Medicine anymore. I mean, everyone has been saying it, but I get what they're saying. This show isn't about you. You're no longer Married to Medicine. So what is the relationship here besides being a friend that we see every once in a while? Just saying, I'm not trying to knock her hustle, but that's not the premise of this show. Guys, let's continue this conversation below. Let me know your thoughts. And as always, be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell so you never miss out on breaking news when we go live or when we upload. Thanks for watching.